Reminder, FBI never raided the office of Bill Clinton's lawyer after he paid $850,000 to silence Paula Jones, by Amy Moreno for TruthFeedNews.com. While liberals and the fake news media go bonkers over the idea that candidate Trump paid hush money to a couple of porn actresses who alleged affairs and are calling for impeachment, we're reminded of the time that Bill Clinton paid off one of his many accusers, Paula Jones, for sexual misconduct that occurred when he was governor of Arkansas. And there's a big difference here. There's a big difference here. With Trump, it was consensual, if it did happen, allegedly, okay? And there's a big difference from what Billy Boy, or should we say Bubba Bill, was accused of. It wasn't consensual. Big difference. He's a psycho. That one's a psycho. Because he was actually very attractive. You know? He was very attractive, but he was sick. You know? That's why he did what he did. The payment was made during Clinton's presidency, and it's fair to note that the FBI did not bum rush his lawyer's office after the fact. The New York Times here, just as the Senate is about to begin President Clinton's impeachment trial in earnest, Mr. Clinton sent $850K to Paula Corbin Jones today to settle the sexual, quote, misconduct lawsuit that started it all. Clinton administration officials said a check for $850K, the amount agreed to in November to settle the case, was being sent by overnight mail to Ms. Jones and her lawyers. The officials, who asked that their names not be used, said that a little more than half of the money, $475,000, came from an insurance policy against civil liability the president held with a Chubb Group Insurance. Most, if not all of the remainder, was withdrawn from a blind trust in the name of Mrs. Clinton, which officials said last year had assets of slightly more than $1 million. This is an old article this is the New York Times back then. Okay. So it was unclear why the amount not covered by the insurance was not withdrawn from the Clintons' legal defense fund, as officials had once suggested. It would be a conservative legal organization said it would sue to prevent Mr. Clinton from using that fund to pay the settlement. The payment ends Mr. Clinton's involvement in the lawsuit itself, but its repercussions continue as the Senate prepares to hear opening arguments on Thursday in his trial on 2 articles of impeachment stemming from Ms. Jones's complaint. It was in a deposition that the president gave in Ms. Jones's lawsuit last January 17th. That he first denied having sexual relations with Monica S. Lewinsky, a former White House intern. You know, it's almost laughable at that point. I mean, really, I remember that clip of him. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. The impeachment articles charge that Mr. Clinton lied about his relationship with Ms. Lewinsky. Whoop. Yeah, that's a real shocker there. Before a grand jury and obstructed justice by trying to conceal that relationship. Well, he had to hide it. You know, you can't blame the guy. The lawsuit that led to the impeachment drama was filed by Ms. Jones in 1994. She contended that 3 years earlier, when she was an Arkansas state employee and Mr. Clinton was governor, he had her summoned to his hotel suite in Little Rock, Arkansas, where he made a crude proposal, you know. Mr. Clinton denied the accusations, yeah, right, but he allowed that it was possible that Ms. Jones was escorted to the suite for an innocent introduction. No, the guy's a mental case. Let's just be real here. Lawyers for the president and Ms. Jones came close to settling the lawsuit, but did so only last November after much of the damage to Mr. Clinton had occurred. As part of the settlement, he did not admit to any wrongdoing and did not offer any apologies, two conditions that Ms. Jones had earlier insisted would have to be part of any agreement. Ms. Jones and her lawyers now have to turn to the contentious issue of how to divide the money. Her first set of lawyers, Gilbert K. Davis and Joseph Camarata, have submitted legal bills totaling $874,000. Her second set of lawyers, a Dallas firm, has said its bill exceeds $1.4 million, and the Rutherford Institute of Charlottesville, Virginia, which helped with her legal expenses, has said it paid more than $400,000. Ms. Jones's friends have said that she hopes to take a substantial portion of the settlement for herself. The check, which was written on the escrow account of Mr. Clinton's lawyers, Robert S. Bennett, was made out to Ms. Jones, Mr. Davis, and Mr. Camarata, the Dallas lawyers, and William McMillan, a California lawyer and husband of Susan Carpenter McMillan, who became a spokeswoman for Ms. Jones. Mr. McMillan helped negotiate the final settlement. Mr. Clinton purchased the Chubb Group insurance policy years ago before he was president, officials said. The policy is known as a personal liability umbrella, an option often available on homeowners' policies. After Judge Susan Weber Wright of Federal District Court in Little Rock threw out the defamation charges in Ms. Jones's lawsuit last April 1st, Chubb initially said it would not pay for the remaining sexual harassment counts, but its officials changed their minds after negotiations with Mr. Bennett. Well, it says here, please make sure you're registered and ready to vote in the 2018 midterms. President Trump, his policies, and impeachment are all on the ballot. Yeah, well, they didn't raid his office. No, because he was part of the swamp. That's why they never raided Bill Clinton's office. The things that the Clintons are guilty of, actually Hillary, she's the main. Bill is just a psycho. Hillary is the brains, the villain, the real villain in the Clinton saga. Basically that's what she is. She's the villain. She's the culprit. That's why Bill stayed with her, because, he didn't want to deal with what would happen to him had he left. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.